Where does your stress show up? Possibly your gut. I hear this a lot as a mental health professional that people have a somatic manifestation of stress in their gut, or at least their torso. Maybe it starts with a rapid heart rate or shallow breathing, but then when we really focus on the gut itself, it's things like gastric distress, irritable bowel syndrome, constipation, diarrhea, butterflies, right? Anxiety tends to live here for a lot of people. So knowing that, what is the gut-brain connection? I'm not a medical doctor, but I have been doing some research on the gut-brain connection. There's a wonderful book on this of how it changes our mood and contributes to our functioning. They would say that the gut-brain is connected in the sense of when our gut is not healthy, our mood is impacted. Maybe something's out of balance. Maybe something's out of whack. Maybe you're experimenting with a different diet or supplement. For a lot of us, it might be being recommended by our doctors to have a probiotic just to keep things nice and steady and healthy in our gut. Knowing that that's the case, I think it's important to recognize that what we eat can change our mood. Maybe you start experimenting with, okay, these are the foods that I recognize and makes me feel better when I eat them. I remember telling a coach I was working with at one time that my body was craving kale. I was asking her about this because she had a wellness lens of brain-body connection, or the brain-gut connection. And she said, you know what? Listen to your body. Listen to what it's craving. Listen to what it wants. Maybe that's really part of mindful eating as one exercise. So knowing what your body feels good when it eats versus what makes it feel awful. Maybe there are certain foods you avoid. Maybe you're lactose intolerant. Maybe you have to go gluten-free because your body just doesn't respond well. Maybe there's certain fast foods that make you feel literally gross after eating them. These are things you might want to recognize as a driven professional trying to stay healthy. Are you someone who's better at snacking versus eating full meals? Is there certain foods you have to avoid before going to bed? Dairy dreams for me, so I don't eat dairy before bed. So with water, hydration. Now you've heard this a lot, 8 glasses of water a day. This is still important from the mental health lens because it's leading to quieting any fight or flight responses in your system. This is why the Red Cross gives out water and tea in natural disasters. Not only is it to address shock for folks who have been impacted, it also tells the body to resume normal functioning after fight or flight is activated. This is why you get dry mouth when you're anxious. Having some water handy is going to be super helpful for that. So let's talk about mindful eating as another component to help with the gut-brain connection. Mindfulness is a huge part of the mental health sphere. You've all heard of mindfulness, maybe you even practice it. Maybe you're someone who practices it daily, which is great. For mindful eating, here are the 4 things I want you to think about. Usually we have people experiment with a piece of chocolate or a raisin to really try this. So any small snack food would probably work. The first thing they have us do in mindful eating is to rank how hungry we are in this moment. On a scale of 1 to 5. 1, not hungry at all. 5, I'm famished and could eat anything that's in front of me. It's kind of where the I could eat a horse analogy might come in, or starving. So as you sit down to a meal, or even as you recognize those stomach pains of maybe hunger, can you rank yourself 1 to 5? Step 2 is bring that food into your awareness. Maybe you're noticing the shape of it, the smell of it, the texture of it. Maybe you're holding that snack food in your hand to really experience what it's like to be with that thing. I know it might sound kind of silly, but it really slows down your process, especially if you're at a 5 out of 5, could eat a horse, and now you're slowing yourself down to recognize that snack food in your hand. From there, step 3 would be to take a very small bite of that food. Very small. Small enough that you can really focus on the texture, the taste, and the sensation of swallowing it as it goes down your throat. Step 4 is to put it down, take a couple breaths between eating, and then resume with the next bite. Americans, especially driven professionals, have a hard time doing this because we're usually go, go, go. We're shoving food in, we're trying to get to the next thing, maybe we're not even tasting it, portions are too big, things of that nature. I think one of the most impactful things I learned about mindful eating is that our body gives us a cue when we're full. Do you know what that cue is? Well, I want you to imagine yourself sitting across from someone you care about as you're sitting at a restaurant and you have this huge plate of food in front of you. And all of a sudden you see them take a pause and do something like this. Now they're eating again. That sigh was the cue. The sigh is the body saying, I'm feeling full. It's not quite reaching your brain yet, but this is the way that I'm starting to give you that feedback, that information, the brain-body connection. I'm sighing, and for a lot of us, we miss that as an opportunity to learn that our body is trying to tell us something. Instead, we almost use that sigh as fortification just to eat another bite or to keep going. Mind-blowing for me in the work that I do with my mental health clients. So mindfulness when it comes to eating, mindful eating, can be a helpful tool as we continue to explore what the brain-gut connection really looks like. Are we using diet and water? Are we having a probiotic recommended by our doctor? These might be things you're considering as you address elevated stress as a busy, driven professional.